Hello, everyone. Welcome to day six of your Excel online training. Yesterday we stopped at the, I think we stopped at the if is blank. Okay, and I used that opportunity to explain all about the is formula that you can actually with the is formula with the different is formula make different checks. So we looked at different things. You could check whether a number is even, whether a number is or whether an input is text. You can actually check a lot of things, and to see the extensive list, all you have to do is just to it is equals to an is, and you see everything you can actually check. Okay, even you can check whether it's a weekend number or things is odd number, and a whole lot of other things you can actually check. Is text, is ref, is PMT, and things like that you can actually check. So today we'll be starting from the if NA. Now the if NA is very close to the if error in the sense that they both actually check for errors in your input or in your output rather. So for example, if I have a formula and that formula could return an error, so I could use this if NA or if error to actually pick the error, and based on that error return another input. For example, let's say I have a number, say number A, number B. Okay, now if I have a number, say let's this be like the output. Now here let's say this output is equals to this divided by this. Okay, now can you see it's giving me an error already? But let's start. So once it's 1 1, it gives me an input. Or once this becomes 2, it gives an input. You can always tackle with this number and it will always give an input. But immediately this becomes a 0 or empty, it gives you an error. Now I do not want it to show this error because I want to catch the error. We call it error catcher for those that are actually for those that are into programming. So you want to catch the error and handle the error. You want to have some form of handling mechanism to handle this error. So what I want to do is, instead of it giving me this error, I want you to actually tell me that you know I should correct my input in number B. You understand? Because it's based on my input in number B that I'm getting this. So I want it to tell me that I should correct my input in number B. So let me just do that here. So I can come here, right here, and say is equals to, okay. So I can say is equals to, and say now use that if error, okay, to say if this is an error. All I just have to put, because this is an if error statement. So once I pick this, that if it's an error, just tell me, um, please change the number B. Okay, it should just tell me that I should change the number B. Can you see? But in case it's not an error, once I change the number B, it will give me the right answer. Do you understand? So it's the if error or the if any works only when you have an error that you want to handle. So once you have that error, it changes that error for you, gives you the input you need to have when you have an error. Then if the immediately you correct the error, it goes back to what it should be. It gives you the right answer. So this is very important, especially when you are dealing with some data cells, and users are liable to enter wrong input. So whenever they enter the wrong input, you can quickly give them a feedback on it that, oh, please change this, or please update this particular cell. And once they update it, the content of the cell is updated to the right answer. Hope you understand the application of this. So the main difference between if any and if error is, if error catches all kinds of error, but if any catches only the NA error. Now the NA error are we call it, I think, non-applicable error. For example, if you use like a VLOOKUP, a HLOOKUP function, but it doesn't find the value, immediately doesn't find the value, it returns the not applicable error, as the case would be. So let's try that in this case. If you want to have a non-applicable, let me actually draw a scenario. So if actually I've said, let's call this the input and this is the output. So I can say if NA, that means if there is an error here, just tell me there's an error here. Tell me please update the number. So if I press 1 here, it will keep working well regardless of the value I press until I actually run into an error. So let's say I run into any error, it tells me please update the number. But if you actually use if any here, let me use the same exact formula that I use here. Okay, and in this case instead I will use the if any here. Okay, now the thing is, if I press 0 here, can you see if any is not catching the divided by 0 error? You understand? It won't catch the divided by, because it only catches any error. It only catches any error. It doesn't catch any other type of error. That's the main difference between the if any and the if error. I hope you understand. Then I've explained the is also. I wouldn't want to take your time on that anymore. Now on error types, now this is just like I just said let me add this particular function so I can use the opportunity to explain what it is. Now we have here also has an inbuilt error catcher in this case, but in this case it doesn't actually fix the error. It only tells you the code of the error. Now if you have this, let's use this particular function, the error type function, okay, and then let's use it here on cell F1. Yes, correct. Now it's showing nothing yet, but if I keep, excuse me, okay, error type F1, because there is no error, so it is actually returning an error because there's no error. But now let me put an error here to say any error. So it tells me that this particular error is error code 7. Okay, so I'm able to fix the error because I know it's error code 7. That's the any error. Now if you want to know what the error codes basically you have available, just type is equals to error dot type, then open your bracket, tells you. So the null error is 1, divisible by 0 error is 2, value error is 3, ref error is 4, name error is 5, norm error is 6, NA that we actually had was 7. That was why it returned 7. Then the getting data error or info is actually it. So if I come here and I say 1 divided by 0, this is divisible by 2 error. So this changes to 2 because this is the error code for divisible by 2 error. So this is just basically going to return to you the kind of error your Excel is basically producing. Now you can use this to now make a decision. Probably you will need to build a special error handler, or if you go into macro programming, you want to use this particular error type to define what should happen next. Maybe you wanted to swap some data or something, so you can use this input to now write that particular module, to take this as an input and write that particular module. Hope you understand very well. So now let's go to the quick project I said we're going to do. So we're going to take the input scores of students and we want to return a grade. Okay, so what we know is if it's between 100 to, let's say 70 to 100, that grade should be a A. If it's between say 60 to 69, that grade to be a B. Say between 50 to 59, that should be a C. If it's between 45 to 49, let that be D. If it's between 40 to 44, let that be E. And then if it's less than 40 or 0 to 40, let it be F and F. And then here we can say any other thing, any other error. You can say user should change impute, or let's just call it invalid impute. So if you enter -1 or something, you should be able to pick it and tell you invalid impute. Or if you enter a number greater than 100, you should also pick it and tell you invalid no, you should also pick it and tell you invalid impute. So let's quickly build this formula, okay, somewhere around here. So here let's call this the input, okay, and then we call this the output. Do you understand? So here in the output, let's say we'll now start with if. Now we'll be applying the basic functions we've learned. Remember, we've learned if function and and function. Those are the two major functions we'll be using. So I'll say if and, okay, I'll say if this is greater than 70 or greater or equals to 70. Remember, even if you score 70, it's still also a, okay, and it's also the same, is less than or equals to 100. Do you understand? What should you do? Let's return A. Okay, so we've handled this part. Now let's go to the next one. But then that means if it's not within this range, if it's not between 70 and 100, what should you do? Let's go to the next one. It will now say and again, basic thing, if this is greater or equals to 60, but this is less or equals to 69. Okay, what should you do? Less or equals to 59. Yeah, oh sorry, my bad, there should be an if here. If this is also this less than or equals to 59, then return a B. Do you understand? Now let me just copy this so I would update and not take much of our time. Put it here, only that in this case it will be 50, 59, and she give me C. Yeah, it should be okay. Now it's now 45 to 49, and give me a D, right? What's the next one? If it's between, oh, it's not 449, it's 49, my bad. So here is if it's between 40 to 44, show a he, right? Then lastly, okay, lastly here, that is if it's between 0, greater or equals to 0, and 39, right? It should return a F. But if it's not either of these, what should it return? Invalid input. That means once it checks, does all this check, and it doesn't find it there, it should return invalid input. The good thing about Excel, unlike programming languages, is if I come here and I enter, Excel will ask me if you want to correct it, because it's just going to correct with all the closing of brackets, so I can say yes. But in programming languages, if you try this, you actually will get a 0, or you get an error. Now look at this. It's already picking up because this is 0. Okay, blank is as good as 0. If I put 1, it's still a F. So let's say 40. 40 becomes a he immediately, right? If I say 44, it's still a he. Immediately I cross to 45, it goes to a D. Okay, so if I change it to 50, it goes to a C, because 50 is C. If I go to 62, say for example, it goes to a B. If I go to 70, you hit 100, A, 101, invalid input. Oof, can you say? So immediately you pass the 100 mark and you put 101. That's not possible. So it gives invalid input. If I also say -1, also invalid input. But 0 is a valid input because people can score 0 in the test. Hope you understand how we actually run this. Okay, so in case you have any questions about it, please feel free to drop your questions on the Twitter handle. We are glad to address to all your questions. And even if the questions not related to this, we're glad to look at all your Excel concerns and profile solutions in ways we can. Thank you very much for joining us, and see you tomorrow.